Hello, my name is Ryan Hitch, and today I'm going to help you create accessible closed captions using YouTube. Now, step number one is, what are accessible closed captions? Well, as you may or may not know, YouTube and other services like it will often provide you with automatic captioning. However, the automatic captioning provided by YouTube and other services is often inadequate, riddled with spelling, punctuation, and other errors that make it unreadable to students who rely on closed captioning to absorb content. Now, ordinarily, if you were to upload to YouTube, you would create automatic captions first, then duplicate and edit, as you see the button for right here. And then in this second panel, let's bring it up. In this second panel, you would have to go line by line fixing each of the automatic caption mistakes that you find on YouTube. Now, in the past, this has been an incredibly time-consuming process. For me personally, a 7-minute video would take like 15 minutes. Essentially, the rule is, however long the video is, I'm going to need twice as much time to go through and fix spelling, grammar, and other mistakes that make this closed captioning inaccessible. However, I'm very pleased to tell you that there is a new and much better, more time-efficient way to get this done. So as you can see, I have, let's go back a bit. Nope, discard changes. So I start with my automatic captions. I click duplicate and edit, which gets me this new line, English video language. Now I'm going to hop in here. The user interface that you initially get when you're editing closed captions on YouTube is very hard to work with. So I highly recommend that you click on this button here, Edit as Text. The cool thing is, even though you're editing as text right here, you still keep the timings when you're done, meaning that your closed captions appear appropriately as you say the words in your video. So if I click over to Edit as Text, I can then take a chunk of this video. In this case, I'm going to say, you know what? Let's take the whole darn thing. Let's really test the limits of this. Then I'm going to go to this other tab that I have open for ChatGPT. Now, in ChatGPT, man, that's a whole nother video entirely to explain it, but the short of it for this video is that ChatGPT is a artificial intelligence that you can harness to fix your closed captioning for you. The way that it works, you type in a command, something like fix for spelling and punctuation. Done. Now you have to give it a minute, but it will immediately begin fixing for spelling and punctuation. Now, as it continues typing the response it's going to give me, I want to clarify a couple things here. First business is, it will only fix things that it believes are misspelled. And what can sometimes happen on automatic captioning is that if a word was so misspelled by automatic captioning on YouTube that it turned into a new word entirely, ChatGPT will not sense that. So for example, my last name is Hitch, but if you replace it with a different consonant, like maybe a B, you would then get a completely different word. Now, if I was to ask ChatGPT, fix B and Hitch, give it the proper spelling, ChatGPT would say, that is the proper spelling for that word. And so as you can see, even though I'm asked it to fix for spelling and punctuation, I'm still going to want to go through and make sure, yes, this is exactly what I said. Now notice what I'm also not asking it to fix for. I'm not asking it to fix for grammar. As tempted as you might be to have ChatGPT fix your captioning for grammar, getting rid of ands and uhs and other things that you don't like about what it is that you said, when you ask it to fix for grammar, you're getting further and further away from what it is you actually said, and in doing so, creating inaccessible captions. What you want to try to do is take exactly what you said, but to just zhuzh it up so that people who are only following along with closed captions can do so as well. So I take this response that I got from ChatGPT, copying it over. Okay, this is the moment we've been waiting for. When I click on timings, will I still have timings exactly where I want them to be? Or will I have to film this video over again after I figure out what happened? Let's see. Yeah, exactly. The timings are still there, meaning that this is very usable closed captioning content. Accessible closed captioning content, which is really the point. Now, this isn't a perfect system. As you can see here, ChatGPT chose to use 263 in numbers and then spell out million. I realize that there are some instructors out there who may have like content specific needs. However, the cool thing is you can actually ask ChatGPT to fix some of those things in a subsequent command. So you might say something like fix for spelling and punctuation and spell out all numbers. You could also misspell your command. So for example, you could type in fix for spelling and grammar. Clearly my command needs to be fixed for spelling and grammar, but the cool thing is this: even though I've misspelled horrendously so my command for ChatGPT, the final result is still going to be this very beautiful closed captioning system. So you can misspell your command, you can add to your command, and in doing so, keep playing around with this until you find a system that works well for you. There are, of course, a couple downsides that I would be remiss not to talk about. One of those downsides would be that once you contribute something to ChatGPT, it is out there in the ether, right? So if there's any kind of like intellectual property concerns that you have about the content that you're using, this might not quite be the fix for you. The other thing that I want to point out here is that this is primarily something you're doing as the interplay between YouTube and ChatGPT. If you are using other systems to store and host your videos, if you are using other systems for closed captioning, you may not quite get the same results. But I would say this: if you are an accessibility warrior like I am and you're committed to figuring this out, you can always send me a message. I'd be happy to help. And there you go. That gets us to the end of this lecture. I hope this helps.